Buddha Maga, a kind of a sequel, Yadishua, a Lorezo, Buddha Soya Puya, Lonely, a David, to show you for that. Buddha's Philita, Lucha. Buddha Satsuma, so you know, Matiluchi and Italy for her. People in the Luja for her. Buddha, another side of the Maria, 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 a king of Maria, Larry Pudulo. Matiu Maria, Redman Yadori and Jashim. Together, Moa she, Muhammad Kirill, she, Moa Kirill, she, Nuja, Lusa, Nuja, Nuja, Buddha, Immediately, if you're going to start about you, never touch it in this or say, may if you're even around to you. Did I do that? Faria some child, Lamba, you some child, some boy, the yard is Lamba, you never touch Everything we got to do, that's about it. Lama and Lama, speak on Gilumira, that's about it. A lot is there. But the game was 8 years ago, no type of that. They have moved away since they said that. But the July has to see Buddha. He could have Kirita Moama, Lucha, Telemanila, Televia, 8 years in Joya, Moa in the Sevilla, Matoya and Sevilla. The other one to be an answer. No good. I was in the Buddha, no good. No, the what no good.
Yesterday, Shadow touched on the qualities or quality of Buddha in a simple way. We started out with the simple qualities. There are, of course, many innumerable qualities of the Buddha. We touched on only the simple one, that is what is meant by the word Buddha as being awakened and awakener, awakened from kilesas and awakener of kilesas, awakener of beings from kilesas. If one is ignorant, if one does not know, then one is said to be sleeping or asleep, not awakened. If one knows, one is said to be awakened. The Buddha has performed the perfections, paramis, beginning with the perfection of offering, dana. Thus, he was enlightened and he has discovered the truth of suffering, the truth of the origin of suffering, the truth of the extinction of suffering, and the truth of the way leading to the extinction of suffering. Thus, he was able to eradicate ignorance with the attainment of the knowledge of the holy ones, arahata mega, non-jnana. Thus, if one is not free from moha, delusion or ignorance, one is said to be asleep. If one is free from moha, then one is said to be awakened. And with loving kindness and compassion, he awakened the beings who are worth to be awakened, so that they are able to see what is skillful and what is unskillful. He taught the beings how to abstain from what should be abstained and to observe what should be observed. Thus he put the beings on the right path. And in this way, because he awakened the beings from ignorance, a lot of beings have attained the noble ones, Aryas, in any of the 4 stages or all of the 4 stages. Thus, the Buddha is awakened from kilesas, and he awakened other beings. In this way, because he was awakened, enlightened, and he caused other people to be awakened, or he awakened others, we attribute the Buddha as the Buddha. This is the meaning of the Buddha.
အဲ့ဒီကိုရေးရေးကိုဆွတ်လို့ပြီးတော့တတ္တဝါများကျင်နာသနာလို့ပြောတယ်ကျင်နာတယ်ဆိုတာကကရုဏာဆိုတာသူတစ်ပါးဆင်းရဲပေရှားလို့အမှတ်သားစိတ်မိမိကိုယ်ကလည်းဥနာတိဒုက္ခတွေကိုသိမှုတတ္တဝါတွေကငါတို့ရဲ့ဥနာတိဒုက္ခတွေကိုသိမှုငါတို့စွန့်ရည်တတ်ရှိတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ပြောတာတကိုယ်ရေးအနေနဲ့ယုံကံသွားတယ်မသိဘူးအဲ့တော့မိမိကိုယ်ရဲ့ကိလေသာတွေကတော့လို့ကြအိပ်ပျော်ခြင်းမှာလို့ကြပြီးတတ္တဝါတွေကိုလို့ပြင်းတယ်ဆိုတာတော့ပဋိဉာဉ်ခံရရှိတယ်တတ္တဝါတွေအဲ့ဒီကြီးကနေပြီးတော့လွတ်အောင်ကိလေသာကလို့ကြပေါ့မိမိကိုယ်ကကိလေသာတွေချုပ်ချယ်ကလွတ်အောင်ရှင်းရည်ကလွတ်အောင်ယုံပြီးတော့တတ္တဝါတွေလည်းရှင်းရည်ကလွတ်အောင်လို့ကြည့်ပဲဆိုတာပေါ့ဒီလိုစိတ်ပဋိဉာဉ်ခံရရှိကြတယ်ဒီလိုရှိကြပါကြည့်ပြီးတော့ရရှိတဲ့အဲ့ဒါကိုဉာဏ်နဲ့အဖြစ်ပေါ်လုံးဝဆုံးလိုက်တတ္တဝါတဏှာအဲ့ဒါကိုသူဘာရဲ့စီးရဲကိုပေရှားလို့အမှတ်သားနေတာအဲ့ဒီကာလကစပြီးတော့ထူးထူးခြားခြားကြီးကြီးကြီးတရားတော်ရှိတယ်တရားရှိမှရှိတာပေါ့ဘူးသူဘာရဲ့စီးရဲကိုလည်းပဲဒီမခံနိုင်ဘူးတရားတော်မှာစီးရနေတာကိုပဲမခံရှိဘူးအဲ့တော့ကရုဏာရဲ့ကိစ္စတွေလည်းပဲဒီမှာပေါ်လာတယ်သူ့တဘာဝဆင်းရဲကိုပယ်ရှားလို့လေသူတစ်ပါးဆင်းရဲနေတာကိုလည်းပဲဒီမခံနိုင်ဘူးဒီမခံနိုင်ဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လက်ကတက်တဲ့လူနေသူလွတ်ရတော့ကြောင့်ဒီလာနေရှာရတဲ့မှာကျိုးစားတယ်ဆိုတဲ့သိရင်ဒီလိုတာဒီလိုစိတ်ဓာတ်တွေဖြစ်နေလို့ရှိရင်ကိုယ်အတွက်တစ်ဖက်သားကိုယ်ဒီမှာထိခိုက်စေခြင်းတော့ကျင်နာတဲ့သဘောတွေရှိပြီးတော့သူများပေါ်မှာရက်စက်ကြမ်းတဲ့ရံကညင်းစေတဲ့သဘောမရှိမကျင်းတဲ့တရားပဲဆိုတာကိုဒီကျင့်ရတယ်ပေါ်တယ်ဒီလိုကျင်နာမှုဖြစ်ရတာအရင်သိလိုက်လို့ရှိရင်ဥရာတိဒုက္ခတွေဤဒီနေတဲ့ခါရတဲ့တတ္တဝါများရဲ့ကဲတင်ရှင်ပေါ်ကဲတင်ရှင်ဘုရားရာဖြစ်တွေ့တယ်အဲ့ဒီဘုရားရာဖြစ်ကိုမြင်လို့သူ့မှာရှိတဲ့အခွင့်အရေးကိုအဆုံးလိုက်တတ္တဝါတွေပေါ်မှာဆင်းရဲကိုပယ်ရှားလို့တဲ့တော့လက်တွေ့ကြကြဆင်းရဲကိုပြည့်လို့ဒီမခံနိုင်တဲ့တော့ဒါဒီတဲ့ခုမှအဲ့ဒီရဲ့စတဲ့ပါ
There are many qualities of the Buddha. However, the time does not permit here to explain all the qualities of the Buddha. So, only the essential parts of the qualities are touched here. Thus, when we say that the Buddha was awakened and was an awakener, did he do anything for his self-interest? The answer is no. There was no self-interest involved. He did not do it for his gains or fame. He did not do that. He did not awaken. He did not have the intention of gaining material things or gaining fame. He did not expect any veneration from others. He did not expect any praise from others. Thus, in this way he was awakened. When he was awakened, he had this Mahakaruna, great compassion. Now this great compassion did not arise only at the time of the enlightenment of the Buddha. He had had this great compassion since the days of Sumedha as Bodhisattva. As in the form of Sumedha, in the person of Sumedha, he had great compassion. And at that time, he had already attained mundane absorptions, logiya jhanas, and supernatural powers, abhinyas. When he heard about the enlightenment of a Buddha, he had much faith and confidence, saddha. So he went to the Buddha, and since the place needed a bridge, he made his body a bridge so that the Buddha and his members of the Sangha could walk on his body. At that, the then Buddha gave a definite prediction that at one time he would become a Buddha by the name of Gautama. Since the time of Sumedha, after knowing that he would become a Sumedha, after this definite prediction, he worked to fulfill his perfections, beginning with the perfection of offering, dana, in order to become a Buddha. Thus, he renounced his opportunity to become an arahat. He was in a position to become a holy one, an arahat, a fully attained one, or full attainment. He did that because he wanted to eradicate suffering in others. As much as he had to endure suffering, such as old age, disease and death, he had great compassion towards all beings, and he wanted them to be free from this universal suffering of old age, disease and death. Such was how he possessed great compassion, Mahakaruna. As much as he himself had to undergo old age, disease and death, he knew that other beings also will meet the same fate. They would not be free from this existential universal suffering of old age, disease and death. So he made a determination to become a Buddha so that he could free the beings from the bondage of kilesas and from the bondage of these kilesas, and to be free from universal sufferings of old age, disease and death. So he was determined to do his best, to strive to become a Buddha so that he would be in a position to free them from suffering. Thus, he was determined to become awakened and to awaken others so that others will be free from the bondage of kilesas. And he would free himself from the bondage of kilesas, and when he became free from the bondage of kilesas, he would help others to be free from the bondage of kilesas. Thus, he renounced his opportunity, the golden opportunity, the highest opportunity of becoming an arahat, because he had a great compassion to free all beings from suffering. So this is how he cultivated Mahakaruna, great compassion. Only then, when he became a Buddha, he would be able to free them from sufferings. He could not bear the sight of suffering. This is the characteristic of compassion. The function of, now comes the function of Karuna. He would not just waste time by not doing anything. He would save others with great loving kindness. so that he had no intention of persecuting others, causing pain to others, to be cruel to others. So in this way, what is the cause of this karuna? The cause of this karuna is seeing in the beings lack of refuge. Thus, he was able to be patient. He could not bear the sight of the suffering of others. From that time on, he worked to become, to fulfill his perfections, to become enlightened as Buddha, so that he will be able to free others from the bondage of kilesas. Since the days of Bodhisattva, beginning with the life of Sumedha, he had understood the welfare of oneself and others, or the welfare of himself and others. And he also understood what are the things to be abstained, what are the things to be observed. Thus he was able to protect himself by cultivating his body, physical, verbal and mental behaviors, so that he would not defile himself. By doing so, by cultivating these behaviors not to defile himself with the perfection, with the practice of perfections, fulfillment of perfections, he was able to protect others, so that others are protected. At other times, with the altruistic feeling, with the altruistic attitude, he did not want to harm others, only he wanted to work for the welfare of others. By having that attitude, by doing so, he was also protecting himself, so that he was not defiled. Thus, two things are accomplished at the same time. Since the days of Bodhisattva, would be Buddha, he worked for the welfare of himself. He understood the welfare of himself and others. He worked for the welfare of others, fulfilling the paramis, perfections. When he became enlightened as a Buddha, these wisdom and karuna, penya and karuna, became matured until they reached the stage of climax. They reached the climax. There was nothing that he did not know. He had the reason, the knowledge and karuna was responsible for the attitude not to endure, not to cause suffering to others, or not to let others endure suffering. The practice or the attitude, the karuna, not to let other people suffer, came out of knowledge and karuna, that is wisdom and compassion. It was through wisdom and compassion that he wanted others not to endure suffering, and he wanted others to walk on the right path and not to walk on the wrong path. So this was how he was able to cultivate knowledge and karuna. In Bodhisattva would be Buddha, there are two things which are important, namely penya and karuna, as much as in others. These two things are important in Bodhisattva as much as in others, in their own right. If one understands, that is, one has knowledge or wisdom about the prosperity or welfare of oneself and others, and if one does not possess any compassionate feeling, one will not be able to practice to put the beings on the right track and to remove them from the wrong track. On the other hand, if one has compassion, one has compassionate feeling, but without any knowledge, how can one put the beings on the right track and remove them from the wrong track? Thus, both penya and karuna, these two things are important. There must be two things involved. Then later, Buddha tried his best, strived to be free from moha, that is, unknowing, ignorance, delusion, bewilderment, and he was determined to awaken others by becoming awakened. So this was his determination. If he also was asleep, not awakened, how can he awaken others? If there are two people, two persons, both who are both asleep and not awakened, how can any of them be awakened? If both are asleep, one must be awakened to awaken others.
Did you agree with it? Look at me, Katie, who is she there? Katie, Zakia, and look at me, the coolie, look at me. Katie, we are channel. The coolie, look at me, the Judah, the Bougon San, the Bougon San, the hotel. The boy looked at me, can I share a look at you? Getting it, die. Go look at that one, you might look at the look at Dama, the Bougon San. The way you look at me, getting it, getting it, the show the new room, you know, you never tell them. And I home, Jana, sometimes child, Johnny, when I got my father, who I never, 8 years, who I never 8 years, you're a cook, you are bad. Do this you want to see. Do you know the unity? Who are you? If you are tired, down at our job. What is good yet? Here I do try to run down with you. That is our decision. It's shimmer. Would I never to go a show cherry? Look out below the river and look at the getting around. Well, I look at the Nila, the Lunia on the Mionia, even at Tiago, below Nila, below getting around. That is all. Here she was a cuckoo, should say the New York. Young boys, the Judah with the showers, and New York, the The new one, go 11, 110, 11, 110, 110, whatever, needed a book. The younger child, the young will say, hey, our they know whatever, go on my phone say, what here you go there, you'll be there. When did they book with you? Very okay, the point in the book, we are getting in Goa, what here in the Como, young one. You need the little Como, young dance, going, and rather. Janet, what is the book? Nila meeting with hair. Como, you're getting a number. That is a photo or the photo of Kuya. Kilitaga, no jar of Mugi and body and that one. Moto, Moti, Mosia. Kuya. Say a such news, such a good one. Look at what you see, Mosia, that one, what I should say. Look at all. Look at see where, look at getting where, taking like a sheep. In the world of the bigger book, we are. Yes, we are so much that I couldn't see that tomorrow the boy, Tansi, Jiam, Dian, Jiam. ကျင့်သုံးကြတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေဟာတကူကောင်းဆန်းသူတွေပါဆိုတာပါဆင်းရဲမှာတကူကောင်းဆန်းစာယုံသွားတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေပါဆိုတာတကူရေလုံးမြောက်ရေးကိုသာအဓိကထားပြီးတော့ဆွဲသူတွေပါဒီလိုမျိုးဆက်ဆက်ကြတယ်ဒီလိုဆန်းပါသူတို့ကအဲ့ဒီခါလေးအားလည်းကြည့်ကြမယ်ဆိုတာဒီလိုကြပါတယ်ကဲကျင်မှုရတယ်ခုနစောစောပိုင်းကပြောခဲ့တယ်အတိညာမရှိသေးရင်လမ်းမမသိဘူးပေါ့ကရုဏာမရှိဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းလမ်းမကိုရှောင်ရှားနေပြီးတော့လမ်းမကိုလည်းရှောက်စီတယ်လို့ရှင်းတယ်မေတ္တာကရုဏာပညာကရုဏာရှိရမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရမှာဒီပါအဲ့ဒီတော့ဘာလို့ဒီဆန္ဒကဒီတော့လည်းဆိုဆုံးရတဲ့အတိုင်းကိုလို့စိတ်ဓာတ်သုံးပါးလုံးကြီးပြည့်ပြီးတော့သိနေမှဉာဏ်နဲ့ပြည့်စုံပြုလုပ်တဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ကဆိုဆုံးရတဲ့အတိုင်းကျင့်သုံးနေတာကိုယ်ကိုရှုပ်ချယ်ကလောအောင်အနောက်ကျက်ကလောအောင်ကာဝေဆောက်ရှောက်နေတာဒီလိုကာဝေဆောက်ရှောက်ခြင်းဒီလိုဘာမှကြည့်လိုက်တာမပါဘူးကြည့်လိုက်တာမပါတဲ့ဒီလိုဘာလည်းမကြည့်ကြရအောင်အလိုလိုဆောက်ရှောက်ပြီးသားဖြစ်တော့ဒီစိတ်ကိုဖြစ်တယ်အလိုရှင်းရှားတယ်ဒါကြောင့်လည်းကျောင်းအားရဆိုတာဒီဘက်မှာရှင်းလာသလားဆိုတော့သူများမကြည့်လည်းမနေရအောင်ကိုယ်ကစောင့်ကြည့်နေတဲ့အချိန်စောင့်ကြည့်လိုက်သူများနေတာပဲအပြုအမူတွေကိုထိတ်ထိတ်ဆောက်ရှောက်သူတို့ကကာကွယ်ပေးတယ်သူတို့ကကာကွယ်ပေးခြင်းအပြင်ကိုယ်ကိုယ်လည်းပဲမမြင်တော့ရအောင်အောက်တန်းမကြရအောင်ဟုတ်ကာကွယ်ဆောက်ရှောက်ပြီးတော့အဲဒီစိတ်ကိုနေချက်တယ်ဘယ်လိုလဲဒီလိုတော့ဘယ်လိုဒီမှာစာကြည့်ပါလို့ဘောဆိုင်လို့ပြောမပါပါဘူးအဲ့ဒီချက်ကလေးအလုံးကြီးတာဒီတော့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ကိုကျင့်သုံးနေသူတွေဟာဒီဘောဆန်းလေးပါလို့ပြောဒီကပြောလို့နားမလည်ကြပါနဲ့နားရောက်ပြီးတော့ဘုဘဲပုမာကပညာလည်းမရှိကရုဏာလည်းမရှိပဲနဲ့ရမ်းပြီးတော့ကြင်နေရတဲ့အလုပ်ဟာတိတ်လို့ရှိပါဘူးအကျိုးလည်းပဲတိတ်လို့ရှိမှာမဟုတ်ပါဘူးအဲ့ဒီလိုသွားနေကြတာပါ
Some people maintain that out of two practices, namely practice for liberation and saving others, saving is more important than practice for self-liberation, and saving must be given priority. Saving others must be given priority. This is how some people maintain. They also maintain that practicing for self-liberation is selfishness, and they say that we must leave aside this practice for self-liberation and must give preference to saving others so that others will be saved. And this is how they say, and then they said that we must not be selfish. When two things come, they say that saving must be given priority. Or others may maintain both are important, that is both the liberation and both the self-liberation and saving are important. Now the audience can decide which is correct. If one is asleep and not enlightened, how can one enlighten others? If both are asleep. If both are asleep, how can one enlighten or awaken others? One cannot awaken others. Therefore one has got to be awakened first in order to awaken others. If one is not liberated from the bondage of afflictive emotions, how can one save others to be free from the bondage of afflictive emotions? If one does not know nor practice to be liberated, how can one guide others to be liberated? How can one save others? Therefore, it is logical that one must try to liberate oneself, and this should be the priority. Another example given is when two persons are stuck in the mud, and if one says, "Oh, don't be disheartened," one tells another, "Don't be disheartened, I will help you." How can one help you? Because that person also is still stuck in the mud and cannot get out of this trouble. One must first struggle to get out of the mud. Then only one, understanding the method of practice for liberation or for getting out of the situation, one can give guidance to others, and one will be able to save others. Thus it is said that the Buddha says, first of all, the Buddha must be awakened in order to awaken others. First of all, the Buddha has to be liberated from the bondage of the afflicted emotions, then only he would be able to save others, liberate others. And those who do not know would say that the practice for self-fulfillment in terms of the Buddha's teachings, by behaving physical, verbal and mental behaviors, with appropriate behaviors, they say that this is a selfish practice, selfish act. By cultivating physical, verbal, mental behaviors for self-fulfillment is said as selfish. And then they consider self-liberation as selfishness, mere selfishness. So they say that they must leave aside this practice for self-liberation and must go to save others. If one does not know, if one does not possess any knowledge, how can one give guidance to others? Furthermore, if one does not possess any compassionate feeling, cannot cultivate compassion, how can one make others to walk on the right path and not to walk on the wrong path? Thus, the two things, namely Panya and Karuna, are essential. So we must understand this properly, this rationale. Only when one is liberated, one will be protected. And by protecting oneself and by practicing for liberation, one is said to be one is said not to harm others. Others are also protected. At other times, practicing the restraint of harming others, practicing the restraint of behaviors, not to harm others. At the same time, one is said to be protecting oneself, and one is not defiling oneself. Thus, we accomplish two things at the same time. Where is the selfishness in such practice? So, one should not be misled when some people come and say that this practice of self-liberation is selfish practice.
Hawaii, Honolulu, Japan, Mahayana, Honolulu, Somewhere. They are somewhere. We are here. Look at the getting ye in the new way at the post the new Japonia. Should I name a book to you? Dear China, young, getting me to large. I think I'm Japanese. I don't like it in Valor. What they are ye, whom we are young boy. I love to walk off in life. So the way I go to that.